hormones that are secreted from the hypothalamus. These are called releasing or inhibiting hormones. We're going to look at each of the hormones that are secreted from the anterior pituitary, which are these hormones here. And then we're going to look at the hormones that are secreted from the glands themselves, okay? And you can kind of use these study tables here to review them, but we're also going to illustrate them in a bit of a drawing here on this slide. So we're looking at the hypothalamic anterior pituitary hormone axis. Alrighty. Okay. So first of all, we got the hormones that are secreted from the hypothalamus. Okay. We've got the hormones that are secreted from the anterior pituitary. And then we've got the tertiary hormones that are secreted from the endocrine glands themselves. All right. So let's list out the hypothalamic hormones here. And these are either going to be inhibiting or releasing hormones, meaning that their action on the anterior pituitary will either be to stimulate more hormone release or to inhibit further hormone release. So the first one is going to be prolactin releasing hormone. And the RH means releasing hormone. So I'm just going to put RH. Then we've got prolactin inhibiting hormone. This is also called dopamine. Then we've got thyroid releasing hormone. And we looked at an example with thyroid, the thyroid axis and the thyroid releasing hormone. And we've also got cortisol releasing hormone. Which is going to act on the adrenals. GHRH stands for growth hormone. Actually, I'll write this out. Growth hormone releasing hormone. And then growth hormone inhibiting hormone. And then GnRH is gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, so these are our main hypothalamic hormones, okay? These hormones are going to enter the portal circulation that we spoke about, right? It's going to enter the capillaries of the hypothalamus and make their way down to the anterior pituitary. So in brackets here, I'm going to put portal circulation. That's how they're going to make their way to the anterior pituitary. So let's speak about what these hormones do individually on the anterior pituitary, and then we'll talk about what the anterior pituitary does in turn. Okay. So prolactin is going to stimulate the anterior pituitary. This is obviously going to inhibit that. And the function that that has is prolactin release. So prolactin releasing hormone will promote prolactin release, and then prolactin inhibiting hormone will inhibit prolactin release from the anterior pituitary. Thyroid releasing hormone, we know, is going to act to promote TSH, right? Thyroid stimulating hormone, which is going to act on the thyroid gland itself. So there's no inhibiting hormone for this. It's just going to increase thyroid stimulating hormone. Put a little plus sign here. Okay. Cortisol, we know, acts on the adrenal cortex. That is going to stimulate the adrenal cortex to release ACTH. Which is adrenocorticotropic hormone, acting on the adrenal cortex. And then growth hormone and growth hormone releasing hormone and growth hormone inhibiting hormone are both going to function on the release of growth hormone. All right, this is going to stimulate it, and this is going to inhibit it. These are both acting on growth hormone release. Okay. And then finally, gonadotropin releasing hormone is a part of our endocrine or reproductive function. That is going to stimulate the release of LSH and FSH, which are our anterior pituitary reproductive hormones. So LSH and FSH. Okay. These are going to act on the gonads, the testes, and ovaries. All right, so these are the hormones that are influenced by our tropic hormones. Let's speak about what these tropic hormones, the secondary hormones, do to their respective endocrine glands. Now, prolactin is going to act on the breast. And we spoke about another hormone that acted to let down milk, right? Oxytocin, which is released from the posterior pituitary, functions in milk ejection, but prolactin functions in milk production. Okay, so the breast, that is going to be milk production. Thyroid hormone, we talked about thyroid hormone extensively. That is going to act on the thyroid gland. And that is going to increase T3, T4 production. So thyroid gland is the endocrine gland in question, and T3 and T4 is the final hormone that is released. Okay. As far as the adrenal cortex, we talked about 3 different hormones that are released from the cortex. So we know what those are, right? We talked about those cortisol and other hormones. Let me see. Okay. So the gland in question here is the adrenal cortex specifically, and that is going to improve or increase cortisol production. And then growth hormone, we know is going to act on a lot of our cells. It's going to have an increase in our growth throughout the body, but it's going to really have a concentrated function on the liver and the muscle cells. Okay. Right, so it can act on most of our cells, but its major action is going to be on liver and muscle. And that is going to secrete somatomedins and other growth factors, okay, which is going to basically promote growth. Skeletal muscle growth, bone growth, all of that is influenced by growth hormone. And then finally, LSH and FSH are our reproductive hormones. And they're going to act on two things. They're going to act on the testes and the ovaries. And in the ovaries, we're going to produce estrogen. In the testes, we're going to produce androgens. Alrighty, okay. So that's the function of these growth hormones. They're also going to function, I'll make a note here, they're also going to function in sperm development in the males and egg development in females. Okay. All right, so that is basically the entire hormone axis, okay? The tropic hormones that act on the anterior pituitary, and they stimulate the anterior pituitary to release these secondary hormones. And then these secondary hormones are going to stimulate our final tertiary endocrine glands, which then release other hormones or have other functions.